first one comes from at Raider King 69. Can Matt Schaub and the Raiders reach 500 this season, even with a tough schedule? Are you trolling me, Raider King 69, or have you not watched the program? I had an argument the other night. Well, it was more of a spirited debate with a cousin of mine who's a big Raiders fan who has connected the dots to a 9-7 finish. And we went game by game. Well, I think we'll win with this one. Well, I think we'll win that one. I think we'll lose this one, yada, yada. Look at the schedule. Look at how crippling the schedule is. 2 games against the Broncos, 2 games against the Chargers, 2 games against the Chiefs, all playoff teams in 2013. Games against the Seahawks, games against the 49ers, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Patriots. Even the Bills and the Jets were 8-8 last year. No, wait, the Dolphins and the Jets. The Bills were under 500, but they've got high hopes for 2014. There's only a couple of sub-500 teams, I believe, maybe 3 on the schedule. The Bills, the Browns, and the Rams. And who cares if the Rams are sub-500? They're going to kick your butt. So it is going to be a long year for the Raiders. And, oh, by the way, 4 first games before the bye, 3 of them are like at 10:05 local time, which the numbers and studies have shown makes it harder for the West Coast teams to win. And one of the games is going to be in England at 10 o'clock local time. Not a good year for the Raiders coming. Of all the teams, they all have a chance to make the playoffs, I believe, except the Raiders. And speaking of the Raiders, Sam in Indiana, who's been patiently holding, you're on the program. What's up, Sam?
All right, well,
and Sam waited all that time, and Sam's cell phone connection is dreadful. Sam, call back in, and let's see if we can get him back on. Let's go and pivot here now to Twitter. Question from @HeatherLake90. Do you guys really believe that the Jaguars will redshirt Blake Bortles no matter what? What if Chad Henne falls flat on his face? Look, I have believed that Blake Bortles is going to start week 1 and that this is all part of that same game that the Browns and the Vikings are playing. Not that it's a game. It's the safe way to go. It's a smart way to go. You install the first-round rookie at number 2, and then if he plays well enough, you elevate him to number 1. But if you put him at number 1 and you put extra pressure on him and he doesn't play well, are you going to bench him? Are you going to admit that you were wrong by making him the starter? Are you going to potentially admit that you were wrong by drafting him in the first place? Now, I'm a little bit concerned that maybe my estimation is wrong because Bortles isn't getting any first-team reps in the preseason opener. There may be a receiver like Marquise Lee, and now I'm understanding that maybe there'll be an offensive lineman or 2 from the first-string unit. But you're putting the guy out there behind the second-string offensive line, second-string running back, second-string this, second-string that. Doesn't look like they're trying to get him ready to play with the first string. So maybe Chad Henne really does start the year, and there's a real risk in that because if Henne plays well and keeps playing well, when and how do you flip the switch over to Blake Bortles? Do you do it after the season? What if Chad Henne leads the Jaguars to the postseason? And I think that if Bortles doesn't start week 1, he will get the job when Henne either gets injured or falls flat on his face. And if it doesn't happen, I know they would say that's a good problem to have. Any problem is a problem, good, bad, or otherwise. It's a problem if Henne ends up taking the team to the playoffs and the number 3 overall pick, who could have helped you be even better, could have been the difference between getting to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl, that gets used on a guy that didn't play for you at all in his rookie season. Back to Twitter. Hopefully Sam's making an effort to hook back up with us again. But until then, @TheRealMachine wants to know, what are the odds Josh Gordon gets his suspension reduced? Well, specifically in response to that question from The Real Machine, I have poked around a little bit. It's my understanding that as of right now, or at least as of about 45 minutes ago, there have been no discussions on a potential settlement of the Josh Gordon suspension, meaning that it's all or nothing. 0 games or 16 games. If I had to bet one way or the other, I think the NFL, despite all of the criticism that will inevitably flow from suspending Josh Gordon for a full year, for a variety of reasons. Marijuana use legal in 22 states compared to the Ray Rice suspension. Jim Irsay not in this very aggressive substance abuse program where he's subject to a 1-year suspension. Despite all that, I think if it goes to a ruling, the NFL is going to be inclined to apply the policy as written and suspend Josh Gordon for a full year. And there are no talks on a settlement, which means it's not going to be reduced. It's 16 or 0 right now. If I were a betting man, and as far as anyone knows, I'm not, and I'm really not, I just say that for fun, I'd say that Gordon is going to be out for the full year, even though I think that's the wrong outcome, a very wrong outcome, which is not good for the kid, it's not good for the league, it's not good for the team, it's not good for anybody. What's good for us is to go to the phone lines. Jared in Baltimore, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I just want to get your opinion on what do you think from a statistical point do you think Johnny Manziel's stats going to be for the Detroit game?
Oh, boy, I'd never thought of that. I don't know what kind of stats he's going to have, and I don't know that it matters because I think it's an inside job that he's going to be the starting quarterback. Now, will his numbers be great? Probably not. He's going to get some reps with the first-team offense, which means he's going to be going against the first-team defense, which means even though he's got the benefit of the best blockers that the Browns have, Ziggy Ansah, Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley in a contract year, Sue in a contract year, it could get ugly for Johnny Manziel. But, I think that barring an injury or a pooping of the bed, to continue the Tom Curran quote of the day, Manziel's going to be the starter week one because that's what the boss wants. And the boss gets what he wants, or the boss starts firing people. And the boss wanted Manziel, and I think the boss wants Manziel week one. But I think the numbers will be nothing. I don't think it's going to be anything great. I think it's going to be, just the stat lines for quarterbacks in these preseason games are never very impressive, especially early on because they don't play enough to really get into a rhythm. 4 for 8 for 57 yards and an interception, throw a dart. But I think the bigger issue is how does he look? Does he look the part? And how does his speed and agility and mobility translate at the NFL level? Will he gain separation when he leaves the pocket? And will he get up when he gets hit by an NFL caliber defensive player? Back to the Twitter questions at DJ Norris 79. Any chance the Texans can have a winning record? Well, yeah, there's a chance. Look, the only team I'm willing to write off is the Oakland Raiders, which probably means they'll win the Super Bowl. But the Texans, both the Texans in the AFC, the Falcons in the NFC, the thinking is it was an aberration last year. Well, I think it was more of an aberration for the Falcons. I think for the Texans, they have very deep and profound issues exacerbated by an exodus of free agents over the years. Do they really have that core that they need to be successful over the long term? Do you believe in the Texans at the quarterback position with Ryan Fitzpatrick? All due respect, i.e., here comes the insult. I don't. Andre Johnson getting toward the end of his career and all of that offseason consternation. J.J. Watt, he should get his long-term contract. Will that be a distraction? Can Jadeveon Clowney make an impact right out of the gates? Do they have enough behind them? Is their offensive line good enough? There's a lot of questions with the Texans. But when you consider their schedule, when you consider that they play 6 games in the AFC South, they play 4 games against the NFC East, they could have a winning record. They could. They also play the AFC North, which, the AFC North has 3 very good teams, and who knows what will happen with the Browns. But I think the Texans can be a competitive team this year. And in a weak division, could they fatten up their record enough to get a wild card berth? Maybe. And if the Colts fall off in any way, and I don't think they will, I think the Colts win that division. But, yeah, crazier things have happened, and I think the Texans are in that range of 31 teams, all but the Raiders, where 0-0, there's plausible hope. We get lucky, we avoid injuries, we catch a few breaks, the ball bounces our way. Next thing you know, it's late December, and you're a win or 2 away from getting to the postseason. We are not a question or 2 away from being done. We're done for the day. It went by fast. Today was fun. Not that any other day isn't fun. We'll have more fun tomorrow. After we have plenty of fun tonight watching fake football, exhibition football. Isn't it funny they don't call it exhibition? It's preseason. It's not the season. It's not real football. It's a glorified scrimmage in pads, and it's a run-through it's a rehearsal, basically, for what we're eventually going to see. But a lot will be determined, and for a lot of the guys on the roster, even though we don't know most of their names, we never will know most of their names unless they went to the college that we attended or were in some way related to or acquainted with them. Guys are going to be out there working hard in the second half of these games to try to make the kind of impact that will give them an opportunity to migrate from the 90-man roster to the 53-man roster. So important games when it comes to winning jobs. For all of those guys, 37 are going to be gone from every team. For those guys, this is as real as it gets. So that's the best pitch I can make to watch the preseason. But we're going to watch it anyway because it's football, it's on TV, and there ain't nothing else on. Except on NBCSN at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Pro Football Talk. Tune in then. We'll get you ready for tonight's games with all sorts of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to cover in an hour. I'm not sure we can get to it. That's one reason to watch. Will we actually get to everything we want to get to? We'll get to everything that we can get to tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. See you back here again tomorrow. Check us out around the clock at Pro Football.